Welcome to U.S. News Source Channel. Ukrainian armed forces began preparations for a large-scale operation. Mutual attacks may increase at any time within the borders of Russia. Moscow is in a great panic since the increased operations of the Ukrainian army recently. This time, according to the breaking news, the Ukrainian armed forces are starting a new large-scale attack preparation towards the middle of December. These operations are thought to be launched from the territory of the Kharkiv region. As it is known recently, after the great successes in Kherson in the south, a large part of the Ukrainian troops began to advance towards the Eastern Front and the Kharkiv Front. Ukrainian army, which is gradually advancing between regions, is also deploying in the new regions it has reached, ensuring its progress and pushing the Russian soldiers even more. According to estimates, additional Ukrainian soldiers transferred to this front have started preparations and could launch a major operation at any time within 2 weeks. Moreover, many parts of this front are on the border with the Belgorod region, where Russia has been attacked before. If the Ukrainian army, which advances in the direction of the Svatov-Kreminna line, which is of serious importance both in terms of logistics and due to its location, can also gain full control in Kharkiv, many Russian soldiers, especially on the Eastern Front, will be surrounded. In fact, as the Russian logistics and military points on these fronts are destroyed, the Russian troops will not have an offensive or defensive power to fight on the fronts. Any move on the Kharkiv front will now be a matter of time before the Russian borders are reached. In the Belgorod region of Russia, there have been various moves of the Ukrainian troops before. This led to an increase in tension on the Moscow side and increased measures after the damage in the region. However, these measures do not seem sufficient. Whether they are sufficient or not will become clear once the Ukrainian armed forces launch an operation. Ukrainian Air Force continues to push the Russian forces on the fronts as well. Air Force again attacked the Russian troops and their critical points. On the last day, 3 airstrikes were carried out on the areas where the Russian forces, their weapons and military equipment were located by Ukrainian planes. As a result of these moves, Ukrainian troops destroyed important equipment of Russia. Explosion sounds were reported from the regions one after the other. Ukrainian defense forces also announced that they shot down Russian Su-25 and Su-24 bombers and warplanes. Russia's critical military equipment is declining one by one. This may lead to an earlier depletion of military resources on the Moscow side. Latest losses of Russia on the territory of Ukraine have been announced. Ukrainian forces destroyed 5 armored vehicles, 3 tanks, 2 artillery systems, 7 vehicles of the Russian troops in one day. In addition, 480 Russian soldiers were neutralized. According to Ukraine's statement, Russia's total loss of troops since the beginning of the war has exceeded 88,400. It is seen that this war, which has been going on for months in Ukraine, has caused more losses and costs between the two countries. However, as long as the military and financial support for Ukraine continues, Russia will have more difficulties on the fronts. This will cause it to have to deal with much bigger problems in the fields of defense, industry, economy and military. Moreover, it continues to deal with many problems that it cannot solve at present. At the same time, important moves on critical fronts continue. Violence of the operations is increasing in Bakhmut, where Russia has been trying to dominate since the beginning of the war and has attempted to attack many times. On the Bakhmut front, located in Donetsk in the east, artillery fires are carried out frequently between the two armies. However, these artillery wars continue to increase day by day. More than 1,000 reciprocal attacks are being carried out every day with MLRS rocket systems, mortars, and many air attacks against this region and its surroundings. However, the situation on this front became quite challenging for both armies due to the weather conditions and increasing attacks. Both armies are trying to establish defense lines at critical points on the front. However, it is also seen that the conditions of the war have become even more difficult due to the weather conditions in the region and the increased damage after the attacks. In this process, the party that maintains its steady progress and advances with the right strategies will be able to achieve success. Ukrainian armed forces also struck a critical Russian military supply bridge on the Zaporizhia front. Serious damage was done as a result of the shooting down of this railway bridge, where the Russian forces carried military equipment and weapons. This started to disrupt the logistics flow of the Russian soldiers at the front. This bridge, which was stated to be close to the Melitopol region, also served to transfer Russian military equipment between critical fronts. However, after this precise move of the Ukrainian troops, the bridge became much more difficult to use. This will prevent Russian soldiers at the front from accessing sufficient military equipment and ammunition. Moreover, it is estimated that this move was carried out with HIMARS missile systems supplied from the west. Also, Moscow's losses in a single region were shocking. According to the statements, Moscow lost nearly 900 soldiers in just 1 month, even in the Pavlivka region. These serious losses at the front show that Russia made a serious strategic mistake in the war and continued the war for wrong purposes. This makes it inevitable to suffer serious losses. However, Russia continues its offensive efforts on the fronts. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg made critical statements and stated that if Russia wins this war that it started in Ukraine, the whole world may have to pay a very heavy price. He also stated that if Russia wins this war, its success may cause the green light for authoritarian leaders in different countries to turn on and pave the way for countries to resort to brute force. So if Russia wins the war with such reactionary moves, it may want to move forward to do more. This will expand the scope of the war. As can be seen, this war is of great importance not only for the territory of Ukraine, but also for many countries in order to avoid any risk. In this case, any military aid to or from countries is of greater importance. Because all kinds of aid will determine the fate of the war on behalf of the countries. Stoltenberg also stated that NATO will always stand by Ukraine and stated that there will be no backing down. As it is known, as long as the Ukrainian lands are protected, Russia will not be able to turn to other lands. One of the most important factors for the protection of the Ukrainian lands and skies is the critical military aid from the countries. Because, on the other hand, it is known that the attacks of Russia caused serious damage. In particular, attacks on infrastructures also cause Moscow to be subject to sanctions and reactions. Ukraine has announced what it takes to solve its energy problems. Russia has long tried to complicate things for Ukraine by attacking the energy infrastructure on Ukrainian soil. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine announced the necessary solutions for the major damage to the energy infrastructures on the territory of Ukraine. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba stated that Ukraine needs substations to restore Ukraine's energy infrastructure and anti-aircraft defense systems to protect against missile attacks by Russian troops. Kuleba also emphasized the importance of aircraft defense systems in saving the energy infrastructure. According to Kuleba, the energy crisis will continue if there are no anti-aircraft defense systems, and if Ukraine repairs these systems, they will be destroyed again. Even if Ukraine buys substations in order to solve this critical problem, it is certain that it will not matter if it cannot defend these transformers. Kuleba also announced that one of the biggest needs of Ukraine is a generator. Previously, Finland, Iceland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Sweden and Norway had promised to continue aid to Ukraine and to increase sanctions against Russia. If these developments continue, the war will now proceed completely in favor of Ukraine. Now, every step that countries take should be in line with strategic goals. In time, the war will be shaped according to the decisions of the country's leaders and the commanders at the front. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.